Trustee Abrego, will you please convene the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel?
Thank you, Chairman Day. Will the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel please come to order? There are 4 requests for public comment. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. As your name is called, please come to the microphone. Four speakers. Rock? Nope. Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to the consent agenda. It is now time for the committee to consider today's consent agenda. I don't see anyone here. Let me call your names then. Rocky Sanchez.
Good morning, Chancellor White, Board of Trustees, Campus President, and brothers and sisters in the audience. I'm here to speak regarding the catastrophic leave that you have on the agenda. I'm really glad that we are moving forward because, as I stated at the last Board of Trustees meeting, that there are going to be more tragedies that are coming up, fires, state of emergencies. This is something that we're going to be facing more and more frequently. And I am concerned in regards to having our people taken care of and communication. That was stressed yesterday in regards to the presentation that was given. And yet I also stated at the last Board of Trustees, the survey that we gave, that in one campus, there was not given correct information regarding use of safety equipment when they were called to be essential personnel. So I'm really concerned that actual real communication is given during the times that there is a state of emergency that is given, and that the catastrophic leave, or CAT leave as we prefer to call it, be moved forward. Thank you.
Tessie Reese.
Good morning, Tessie Reese from San Diego State Unit 2 Chair. Following up with Rocky Sanchez, VP for Representation for CSUEU. Again, I do applaud that you are looking at changing and adding for catastrophic leave. I am disappointed, though. I was hoping to also see that we would be able to do this across campuses. It's very important that when these types of tragedies happen, is that we all kind of reach out and help each other. When it's only limited, from what I'm looking at here, to one campus, to the only campus being able to allow folks to donate to catastrophic leave donations, it's important that we try to do this system-wide from campus to campus. We need many more hours for folks, and if it's limited to just the campus that's affected, it just does that, limits it. And we were hoping that it would be system-wide across the campuses. In the technology world that we live in, I'm sure there's a way that we can figure out how to do that. It's not that complicated. You have thousands of folks who are willing to donate time and hours to those who are affected. Don't limit it to just the campus that it's going on. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and it probably doesn't have anything to do with the CAT leave that's being changed here, and I applaud that, is again, the essential personnel. When we have issues happening, whether it's a water main break that happens on campus or something devastating like a fire or an earthquake, who is essential? Our campuses are having issues with who they deem is essential. We need to know who those folks are. We ourselves need to know who we are, and we need to move forward on that, because that is one, along with communication, is who do you deem essential to respond to these issues and who needs to report back to work. Thank you.
Jessica Westbay.
Thank you. My name's Jessica Westbay. I work at CSU Chico, and I also serve with CSUEU. I do thank you for expanding the Title V with regard to catastrophic leave for employees. But again, echoing Tessie, I'm incredibly disappointed that you guys weren't able to expand the approval of donations of time across campuses. with our campus being affected by the Camp Fire. There have been many people that have been affected that may need catastrophic leave, not only when the fire occurred, but potentially in the future as things are starting to, with regards to them rebuilding and trying to recover from the fire. I did talk about the recovery effort yesterday with regards to our campus, and it's going to take a long time for us to recover. It's only been since November when the fire occurred, and people are still trying to find homes, trying to determine whether they're going to rebuild. And we're now seeing a domino effect from the people who are living in the town of, or the city of Chico, with regards to losing their home that they've rented because the owners want to sell it. Those of us who are renting are seeing our landlords increase our rent. And so there's like this expanding domino effect. And so as we talk about expanding the CAT leave or the catastrophic leave, being able to donate that time across campuses would be wonderful. Again, I know you guys can find a solution and figure out how to make that happen. And so I just want to, again, encourage or remind everyone that this is a very long process. It's going to take a long time for us to recover from it. And we hope that this continues to be on your minds as you continue to do your business throughout the next years. Thank you.
Mr. Hakobian. Mr. Hakobian? Well, thank you all for your comments this morning. Thank you. It's now time for the committee to consider today's consent agenda. Does any committee member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Hearing no request, are there any objections to the approval of the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. The committee has 4 action items on today's discussion agenda. The first 2 items are action items on executive compensation and will be presented consecutively. The third item is an action item regarding the approval of recommended revisions of Title V regarding the catastrophic leave donation program. And the fourth item is an action item on recommended amendment to the President's selection policy. Item 2 is an action item, compensation for the President of California State University, Fullerton. And item 3 is an action item, compensation for the President of California State University, San Marcos. The 2 items will be presented by Chancellor Timothy White. Chancellor White, please begin.
Thank you, Trustee Abrego. Today I bring before the board recommendations for 2 campus presidents. In each case, the recommended salary is the same as the predecessor. I'm extremely delighted to announce Fram Verjee as the president of Cal State University Fullerton. As you know, Fram has been serving as campus president under a term appointment since January of 2018 and will assume the permanent presidency 5 minutes ago. Fram became the 6th permanent president of CSU Fullerton. He succeeds Millie Garcia, who was appointed president of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities back in November of 2017. I appointed Fram to serve as president until the next president was appointed by the Board of Trustees, and he has served in that capacity since Garcia's departure. From January 14 through December of 17, Fram served as Executive Vice Chancellor, General Counsel, and Secretary to this CSU Board of Trustees, and in that capacity led a staff of attorneys, paralegals, and support personnel, and oversaw all the legal services for the 23-campus California State University. Fram also served as the Chief Legal Officer to the Board of Trustees, advising them on all legal issues, including open meeting laws, board rules and procedures, and education code compliance. Prior to joining Cal State, Fram was a partner in private practice for almost 30 years at O'Melveny & Myers, the oldest law firm in Los Angeles and one of the largest in the nation, where he specialized in labor and employment law with an emphasis in representing educational institutions. He graduated summa cum laude, earning a bachelor's degree in political science and sociology from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and he earned his JD cum laude from the University of California, Hastings College, of Law. As you will see in the amended handout, I'm recommending an annual salary of $367,124. This is the same salary as his current term appointment. And as a condition of employment, Fran will be required to reside in the university's presidential residence located in Fullerton, California. In accordance with trustee policy, a monthly auto allowance of $1,000 and standard benefits for CSU executive employees will be provided. Before going further, I would be remiss to not thank the faculty, staff, trustee, student, and presidential involvement in the search and search advisory committees, and to trustee Cy Abrego for chairing that effort. I am pleased that Fran Vergy will continue to chart the path forward for Cal State Fullerton by providing collaborative and excellent leadership at the campus as its sixth permanent president. The third item, item 3 on your agenda, is to have you approve the compensation for the president of Cal State San Marcos. And I am extremely pleased to welcome Ella Neufeld as the next president of the San Marcos campus. She will assume her presidency on or before July 1st of 2019. She became the 4th president of San Marcos. She succeeds, as you know, Karen Haynes, who will be retiring at the end of June 2019 after serving as the president of CSU San Marcos for 16 years. Neufeld has served as a vice president of student engagement and enrollment services at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia since 2011, where she leads the areas of student engagement, student success, enrollment services, government relations, institutional research, marketing, and public relations. Her previous higher education leadership roles include service as vice president of student affairs at Salisbury University and assistant vice chancellor for student development and dean of student life at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, where she also served as the assistant dean of students. Ellen earned a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's in ed psych and counselor education from Tennessee Technological University and a doctorate of education from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And as you will see in the amended handout, I'm recommending an annual salary of $336,719. This is the same salary as the current president, President Haynes. Additionally, Dr. Neufeld will receive an annual housing allowance of $60,000 and in accordance with trustee policy, a monthly auto allowance of $1,000 and standard benefits for CSU executive employees will be provided. I too want to thank the faculty, the staff, trustees, student and presidential involvement in the search committee, and to trustee Jean Furstenberg for chairing the effort. I also wish to thank Karen again, and we'll thank you so many times you'll be thankful when you retire. But we'll come back to celebrating Karen before the end of June. Trustee Abrego, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Chancellor White. The compensation for the president of California State University, Fullerton, is an action item before the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel. Only committee members may vote at this time. Any discussion?
Perhaps Evelyn knows the answer to this, but I seem to recall that the state auditor criticized us for not having a cap on moving and relocation expenses. And I thought that this committee addressed that. Can you remind me of where we are on that and if we do have a cap?
Yes, we actually did address that. We revised our relocation policy. What they asked us to do is also put in levels of approval, also with a cap, so that is in place.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Becky,
No, I want to make a motion.
please. All in favor? We have
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Item 3 is compensation for the president of California State University, San Marcos. It's an action item before the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel. Only committee members may vote at this time. Any discussion? May I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The item is approved. Item 4 is an action item proposing an approval of recommended revisions of Title V, California Code of Regulations, Article 4.2, Catastrophic Leave Donation Program. This item will be presented by Evelyn Nazario, Vice Chancellor of Human Resources. Evelyn, please begin.
Thank you, Chair Brago. Today, we're recommending for action 3 revisions to Article 4.2 of Title V, which addresses the catastrophic leave donation program. This information was presented as an information item at the January 2019 Board of Trustees meeting. Natural disasters can be devastating and happen without warning. The 2017 and 2018 forest fires temporarily shut down half of our campuses, and many of our employees lost their homes and were unable to work. The proposed changes will allow us to assist those in need. As you may recall, the recommended revisions will not only align the California State University with other state agencies, but the changes will also provide more flexibility in managing workforce needs and will provide the CSU employees who have experienced a major catastrophe due to natural disaster state of emergency with support. Based on the discussions and thoughtful comments at the January meeting, we revised the proposed amendment and is being presented for action today. The revised amendment was noticed for the required 45-day public hearing on Title V revisions. I want to report that we did not receive written communications relevant to the proposed revisions. As previously reported, this benefit would be available to an employee who faces financial hardship because the employee has exhausted all their personal holiday credit and compensating time off and has a balance of 40 hours or less in each accrued vacation credits and sick leave credits, and is unable to work due to the effect of a natural disaster state of emergency on the employee's principal residence. We are also recommending to revise Article 4.2 to include that the president of each campus, subject to the approval of the chancellor, has the authority to make an exception to the prescribed policy for the purpose of responding to other catastrophic occurrences of comparable impact and/or to expand the benefits of the prescribed policy when compelling and unusual circumstances exist. This language was updated from what was proposed in January to clarify that the exception is to be able to expand the benefits and not limit it in any way. Further, we are recommending to remove the maximum limit that an employee can donate as long as the employee maintains a balance of 40 hours of vacation leave credits and 40 hours of sick leave credits per calendar year for the purpose of catastrophic leave for a natural disaster state of emergency. As I mentioned at the January Board of Trustees meeting, we're currently exploring the viability for employees to be able to donate leave credits across campuses for catastrophic leave for natural disaster state of emergency for future action. This came about due to the number of calls and inquiries we received for employees wanting to offer assistance to those individuals affected during the past 2 devastating wildfires. We are finalizing the proposed donation program and will be ready to present at the May board meeting. Trustee Abrego, that concludes my presentation. I now welcome any questions from the board.
Any questions? Thank you, Vice
Sorry.
Chancellor Nazario. Do we have one? Okay, Becky. Trustee Lasser.
I wanted to commend Vice Chancellor Nazario for incorporating all of the ideas that we had at our last meeting. She did so beautifully, and the policy is quite clear. I see this as a policy that codifies compassion, and it's a wonderful thing for our institution. It gives support to those who need it, and it gives an avenue for people who want to help. I'm not sure I can bring myself to call it cat leave, though. Unless we stipulate that we're talking only about indoor cats.
Any additional questions? Yes, Jack.
Is there a problem with cross-campus transfers?
Currently, we don't have the mechanism to make that happen, so that's what we are working on. How do we do that behind the scenes? And as we had spoken, and we had great representation up there, technology exists, so we're looking at our technology to be able to put that in place.
Trustee McGrory, just part of the complication is just the basic ability to have the software to do that. But then as you know, we also, it's one thing to transfer days, but it's another thing to transfer dollars. And when you have different pay rates for people who are in receipt of or wanting to donate, so it's complex and it just takes time to get it right.
Trustee Taylor.
And so, Evelyn, just to ensure I understand the difficulty with the systems, our payroll system is the same as the state of California's payroll system. We don't operate a separate payroll system that tracks this information.
That is correct.
And theirs is about as archaic can be.
That is correct.
And so, while I think I think there's a real benefit to the inter-campus transfer ideas that we've heard about, the system has to work because it's very easy to mess this up. And so, any hope and prayer the state's system enters the 20th century?
Well,
Much less the 21st century. 20th century would be okay.
Well, they are looking at a plan, which I won't hold my breath. It's going to be a while before they put a new system in. However, that said, we do have a system in-house that we use, and it's called PeopleSoft, for those of you that are familiar. And we'll be using that system to maintain this, not the state controller system.
Okay. Well, we hope we can get to a point where we can do this, but I understand the heartburn that comes with this. So good luck.
Thank you.
Any additional comments, questions? Thank you again, Vice Chancellor. Because this item involves amending a provision of Title V of the California Code of Regulations, these proceedings are deemed to be a public hearing under the provisions of the California Education Code. At this time, are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this proposed amendment? Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. This action item before the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel, only committee members may vote at this time. Any discussion? May I have a motion? It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. This opposed? Abstentions? This resolution is approved. Item 5 is an action item proposing an approval of recommended amendment to the presidential selection policy. This item will be presented by Vice Chancellor Evelyn Nazario.
Thank you, Chair Brago. Today, we're recommending a revision to this presidential selection policy to increase the student representation on the advisory committee to the trustees for the selection of the president. The proposed change increases the number of students serving on the advisory committee from 1 to 2. The recommended revision will broaden the student voice during the presidential selection process, which you know includes several members from faculty, staff, and community representatives, and a current CSU president. Trustee Abrego, that concludes my presentation. I now welcome any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. I will open it up for comments. I'll start with Trustee Emily Hinton.
Thank you, Chair Abrego. I first just want to thank Chair Day and Vice Chair Kim Bell for their help bringing this forward to the board for consideration. When I served as student body president at Sonoma, I sat on 18 different committees, 3 of which were search committees, as well as working as a nanny for a family of 4 children and working at a yogurt shop. So I think we all know that our CSU students are incredible in the amount of workload they carry, and our student leaders even more so sometimes. So not only will this, adding another student, bring a more diverse perspective to the board, I think it's great being able to have 2 students here, having the experience of two different students and being able to gather information from other students and bring those perspectives to a board is really important, but also just being able to work as a team. If I have a paper due or I'm sick or something, me and Juan are able to work as a team, and he can pick up the slack when I need some additional support and vice versa. So I think being able to have two students on this search committee is really important, not only for the perspective, but being able to work as a team is really great. I think most of us know the workload that search committee, especially for a president search committee, can have. So we appreciate your consideration on this item, and students hope for your support. Thank you.
Trustee Nyland?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm in full support of this. I think it's a great idea. As you know, we just concluded 2 presidential searches, and we're in the middle of 2 presidential searches. I just wonder what the effective date and of this process being implemented would be.
The effective date would be once the board approves.
The 2 recruitments that are ongoing would add a student?
I'm going to turn that over to Chancellor White.
It would be for any future searches, but I have assurance from the 23 presidents, nobody else is planning to leave.
Approval of the recommended amendment to the presidential selection policy is an action item before the Committee on University Faculty and Personnel. Only committee members may vote at this time. Any other discussion? May I have a motion? And second. I have a motion, it's been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? This item is approved. Chairman Day, this concludes the business of the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel.
Thank you, Chair Brago.